What's up YouTube, it's Jackal Goldkick, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 10 Samurai Warriors characters. So my top 10 favorite Samurai Warriors characters. Now this was actually easier to put together and an easier list to make compared to the Dynasty Warriors one. So let's get started with this. Before I get into the list, yes, I'm a fan of the Samurai Warrior series. Really like the games. My favorite is the first one. I like the second one. I like the fourth one. I haven't played part 3. Still haven't played 5 yet, but I do like the Samurai Warriors game series. But let's get into this list. So my number 10 choice is going to be Kagekatsu Uesagi, who is the adopted son of Kenshin. I think he is a really cool new character they introduced to Samurai Warriors 4. I definitely like him, and he's definitely one of my favorite new characters they added. I think he has a really cool design. I think he has really cool weapons. He's got like these 2 big swords that are almost like chainsaw swords, and you know, you just use them on the battlefield and they're very fun to use. His hyper attacks are fun to use. Gameplay wise, he's fun to use. I like his combo attacks. I like his Musu attack. I like his involvement in the Kenshin story and involvement with him, and I think he was one of the coolest new characters they added recently to the Samurai Warrior series, and I just thought he stood out design wise. You know, voice actor wise, he's cool, though sadly he was introduced when they got rid of English dub for Samurai Warriors, which sucks. I miss English dub. But I always found him fun to use in Samurai Warriors 4 and Orochi 4. He was just a beast. He had this cool design. He had these big ass sword like chainsaws, and he was just fun to use with his hyper attacks and regular attacks, combo attacks, Musu attacks. He was just always really cool. Now, the reason I'm the lowest on the list is because, you know, I wanted to include some newer characters in here, not just all the old Samurai Warriors characters we've had for a long time. But I think he has a lot of potential as a character. Like, I think they could do more with him, flesh his character out more. If they brought an English dub in for him, that'd be great. Give him his own story mode or something, I don't know. But he does have a lot of potential. That's my number 10 choice, Kagekatsu Uesagi. Pretty cool new character, definitely like him. My number 9 choice is going to be Takatora Todo. Wanted to throw in another new character on here. Definitely like Takatora Todo. He was another new character that I really liked and was definitely one of my favorites. He had like this chemistry with this strategist. I can't remember his name, but he became friends with, I believe, Mitsunari. And then he eventually joined Ieyasu. In Samurai Warriors 4, Samurai Warriors 4, 2, and Orochi 4, I always liked using Takatora Todo in gameplay. He was kind of reminiscent of like the Wei Cao type style, where he had like the sword and the ice shit. And I always found Takatora Todo a beast to use gameplay wise. He has this sword, he has this ice mixed with it. I always found his hyper attacks fun to use. I always found him fun to use in gameplay. I always found his charge attacks fun to use. His Musu attacks were great. His hyper attacks. His character design is really cool with his hair and black armor and this like blue cape. This blue like thing that hangs around his neck is really cool. And he was always just a really cool character, I thought, and one of the also cool new additions to Samurai Warriors 4. And much like Kagekatsu Uesagi, I mean, they did a little bit more with Takatora Todo, but I think they could do a little bit more with him as well. So that's my number 9 choice, Takatora Todo. Great character, fun to use, great to use in gameplay, great weapon, great design, cool voice actor even if it's not English dub. I like the ice elements mixed in with his sword, and I thought this character design was cool, and he stood out to me as one of the coolest new characters that they added, and I found him fun to use gameplay wise. He was great. Number 8 choice is going to be Kotaro Fuma. Really like Kotaro Fuma. Definitely my favorite ninja from Samurai Warriors. Kotaro Fuma is a great character. He's got a great character design. He's fun to use in gameplay with like the gloves, and then he can like move forward, and his Musu attacks kind of just charging at enemies and hitting them with his gauntlet. He kind of looks like Orochi a little bit, to be honest with you. But I've always liked him ever since Samurai Warriors 2. I think Samurai Warriors 2 was actually the first Samurai Warriors I played. And when I first played that, Kotaro Fuma became a favorite of mine when I played his campaign and was playing him as a gameplay. I was like, wow, this guy is really cool. He was a new character in SW2. And I always just thought he was cool, you know, with the whole chaos thing and his design and like face paint and his gauntlets that he would use. I just always found him to be a really cool character, and definitely one of my favorites. I enjoyed using him. Great to use in gameplay, great Musu attacks, great charge attacks, good English dub voice actor when they did have that for him. He was also fun to use in Samurai Warriors 4 and Orochi 4 with the hyper attacks and stuff. He was a beast, and he was great with that. And he's always had really good character designs. Though I do miss when he had an English dub voice actor. I miss when Samurai Warriors had an English dub. Sadly, it doesn't anymore. And, you know, he had good involvements with the story. Like, from what I remember, he knew Hojo. You know, he was related to Hojo and all of them, doing stuff with them. I can't exactly remember what he did in SW2 because I haven't played all the campaigns in that, and I haven't played in such a long time, but he definitely is my favorite ninja, and Kotaro Fuma is definitely one of my favorites, so that's my number 8 choice. My number 7 choice is going to be Yoshihiro Shimazu. Hammer time. Really likes Yoshihiro Shimazu. Definitely one of my favorite Samurai Warriors characters. A straight badass, a straight beast. Always liked him ever since it was either SW2 I played first or Warriors Orochi 1 or 2 I played first. He was always just such a badass. He's this big old guy with this cool armor. He's got this big ass fucking hammer and he can just smack around enemies with it and stomp the ground. His voice actor, English dub voice actor, is badass. It's very gruff. Hammer time, you know. He has that crazy attack in Warriors Orochi 1 and 2 where he can just charge at people with his R1 attack. And then if you press his regular attack, which is like triangle or the button Y, depending on the game console you're playing on, he smashes the ground with the hammer and he gets this green aura around him where he knocks enemies away and he can't be phased. It's really fucking cool. And I like his design. He's got like this, he's like kind of this old dude with this white hair, but his facial hair kind of reminds me of like the French, maybe like the French soldiers, how they looked back in the day. I don't know, whatever that style is, but I've always liked his hair and facial hair. His character designs have always been badass. He's always been fun to use in gameplay with a big ass hammer, and I always liked him, and I always felt like he stood out as a Samurai Warriors character. He had that rival thing going on with Gichio, and I didn't get to play his campaign either in Samurai Warriors 2, so I don't have a lot to say about that. But I liked him in Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. He was fun to use gameplay wise. He wanted to even fight Lu Bu at one point, which was awesome. He's a badass old man. You know, he's the devil Shimazu. And, you know, his Musu attack's great. He was great to use in Samurai Warriors 4 because he had the hyper attacks. I like the new character they added. I can't remember his name, but he has like a nephew or somebody that's younger than him that's kind of similar to him. He was pretty cool. I like the dynamic with him and Yoshihiro. But yeah, number 7 is definitely Yoshihiro Shimazu. Badass character, definitely one of my favorites from Samurai Warriors. Badass English dub voice actor, great character design, really fun to use in gameplay. Hyper attacks, charge attacks, combos, Musu, all that stuff. And even Warriors Orochi 1 and 2, he was just a lot of fun to use as a character, and definitely always one of my favorites. And he's just a straight badass character, a badass old man. So my number 6 choice is going to be Toshie Maeda. I really like Toshie Maeda. He's always been one of my favorite characters. Not only gameplay wise is he fun to use, because the guy has a sword and 2 spears on his back that he can use in gameplay. But I always thought it was interesting how he was like related to Keiji, like Keiji's his uncle. I actually prefer him over, yeah, I don't mind Keiji, but I actually prefer Toshie Maeda over Keiji in my opinion. Toshie Maeda is definitely one of my favorites. I always thought he had cool character designs in Samurai Warriors 2, 3, and 4. And I always thought he was fun to use gameplay wise. I never got to play his story in Samurai Warriors 2 either, but I used him a lot in Warriors Orochi 1 and 2 and Warriors Orochi 3, and he was very fun to use gameplay wise. I like his combos, his Musu attacks, his special attacks. I liked his character designs. You know, it was just really cool to have a character with sword and 2 spears that he could use all at once. You know, that stuff with him and Keiji I thought was cool. I think he even knew, yeah, he also had a dynamic with Katsui Shibata, which was really cool as well. I like that too. And then his hyper attacks, he was a lot of fun to use as well in Samurai Warriors 4, and I think I got to use him in Warriors Orochi 4. I can't remember, but I definitely liked his, definitely liked Toshie Maeda. That's my number 6 choice. Great character. Number 5 choice is going to be Yuji Yasu Hojo, if I'm saying it right, because the Samurai Warriors characters' names are pronounced different than Dynasty Warriors characters' names. Definitely really like Yuji Hasa Hojo. Definitely one of my favorites from Samurai Warriors. Probably my favorite new character they added in Samurai Warriors, well, technically 3. But he's a great character. I really like him. He has a cool character design. I love his cape. I love like the pipe he'll have. I love the headband around his head. He has like a scar right here. The cane he uses, it's a lot of fun to use in gameplay. He's a really cool leader of the Hojo. He's got the dynamic thing going on with what's his name, Kotaro Fuma. That's pretty cool. I like using him in Samurai Warriors 4 with the hyper attacks, and also I like using Warriors Orochi 4. I like using him in Samurai Warriors 4 and 4-2 as well. He's fun to use gameplay wise. I thought he was a badass leader. You know, just a badass dude, cool voice actor, even if he never got the English dub shit. Cool design, very fun to use, good charge attacks, good hyper attacks, fun to use in gameplay, good Musu attacks, good hyper attacks, badass character, cool personality, and also he's like the Sun-Jan of Samurai Warriors, and that's a plus for me because if you haven't seen my Dynasty Warriors video, Sun-Jan was one of my favorite characters when I did top 10 Dynasty Warriors characters. So yeah, that's my number 5 choice, Yuji Yasuhojo. Really like him, definitely one of my favorites, awesome leader, badass character. So my number 4 choice is going to be Tadagatsu Honda. Now Tadagatsu Honda, I actually prefer over Lu Bu. Like, I know he's like the Lu Bu of Samurai Warriors, but I actually like him more than Lu Bu. Tadagatsu Honda is a badass character and always been one of my favorites from Samurai Warriors. He is an absolute monster and an absolute beast gameplay wise. I mean, he really is. Like, he just shreds people and just destroys shit. He is so good when you play as him. It was cool to use him in SW1 XL, Samurai Warriors 2, you know, Samurai Warriors 4, Warriors Orochi 3 and 4. You know, no matter what game it is, he's fun to use. He's got this big, like, spear halberd type thing, and you know, he's fun to use gameplay wise. His combo attacks, his Musu attacks, his charge attacks, his hyper attacks, his Musu's really good. He's always had a badass voice actor. My favorite voice from him is Warriors Orochi 1 and 2 because it's like Sun-Jan's voice basically from Dynasty Warriors 6, I believe. And I always thought he had cool character designs. I like his dynamic of having his daughter Ina, you know, being basically like the Lu Bu of Dynasty Warriors. Like, don't fuck with this motherfucker, he's badass. And he was always he was hard to fight too. Like, I remember when I briefly played Samurai Warriors 2, it was pretty tough to take him down. In Warriors Orochi 1 or 2, of course, they had the crossover where they had him go against Lu Bu, so that shit was pretty badass and cool. So yeah, I really like Tadagatsu Honda. Badass character, badass warrior, just a beast of a character, and just a really cool character. And I think the reason I prefer him over Lu Bu is because Lu Bu, like, he's cool, but he's more just like on his own brute, where Tadagatsu Honda, he has a leader to follow. I feel like he's a lot more, just a tad more, has his mind together. Like, Lu Bu is, you know, fucking strong. You know, you can't fuck with him, but it's like, I feel like he's lacking a little bit on like the IQ and strategy type thing, and that got him defeated. Whereas Tadagatsu Honda, like, I'm not saying he's a strategist, but I feel like out of the two, Tadagatsu Honda has more on the brawn with the what do you call it, brave or strength, whereas Lu Bu, he's more brawn and more of a brute and not so much brawn in my opinion. And I like that Tadagatsu as a leader. So that's my number 4 choice, Tadagatsu Honda, badass character, and he has a cool theme song too. And I also like his theme song more than Lu Bu. And, you know, I'm not saying Lu Bu sucks or I hate him, but he's never been one of my favorites. I've always preferred Tadagatsu Honda, but that's just me. Number 3 choice is going to be Kenshin Uesegi. Kenshin Uesegi, great character in Samurai Warriors. Definitely one of my favorite characters in Samurai Warriors. One of the coolest leaders. He's got this cool ass sword that has like curved like edges on it. And, you know, he was always fun to use gameplay wise. I've used him in Samurai Warriors 1. I enjoyed his campaign in there. I like his design there. I like using him in Samurai Warriors 2, Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. He's fun to use. He's fun to use in Samurai Warriors 4. He's fun to use in Samurai Warriors, Warriors Orochi 3 and 4. You know, he was always just fun to use gameplay wise. Great Musu attacks, great hyper attacks, great combo attacks. He has cool stuff in the story. One of the coolest things about him, I love his rival stuff going on with Shingen Takeda, where him and Shingen are always battling each other, and they're like rivals to one another. I always loved that. I thought that was cool, and that added to his character as well as Shingen's, which I'll get to. But I really like Kenshin Uesegi. He's always been really cool. His like just white clothes design, badass looking sword, fun to use gameplay wise. I thought it was cool how he had Kaorin's voice actor in SW1. And yeah, that's my number 3 choice, Kenshin Uesegi. You know, campaign wise, he led the Uesegi. He had Aya, or whatever her name was, with the staff. He had, of course, Keigakatsu later on in the games. He had Katsunugu Noe, that's how you say his name. He was on his team as well. And, you know, the rival stuff with Shingen was cool. And he was always just a great character. You know, I've always liked Kenshin Uesagi. Fun to use. Great story mode in Samurai Warriors 1. Didn't get to play his story mode in Samurai Warriors. Oh, I did actually, yeah. I did get to play his story mode in Samurai Warriors 2. It was great in that as well. It was awesome being able to go up against Nobunaga as him, because Kenshin, I feel like, could go up against Nobunaga and Shingen. He's just that good of a leader, and, you know, raised a cool army. So yeah, that's my number 3 choice, Kenshin Uesagi. Definitely a cool character. Definitely one of my favorites from Samurai Warriors for sure. So my number 2 choice is going to be Nobunaga Oda. And this was hard because my number 1 choice I'm not going to get to yet, but it's like, it was a toss-up between, do I put Nobunaga at 1 and then 1 could be number 2, but I decided to make him number 2, which I'll get to. But other than that, let's continue. My number 2 choice is going to be Nobunaga Oda. I really love Nobunaga Oda in Samurai Warriors. Definitely one of my favorite characters from the Samurai Warriors series. A phenomenal character. He was always just so fucking badass and cool. Ruthless, cold-hearted, doesn't give a shit. The perfect villain, you know, and doesn't care about anyone. Like when Mitsuhide betrayed him, he was like, oh shit, it is what it is. Let's get it. You know, he didn't even care that he betrayed him. That's some crazy shit, man. Or, you know, he's a ruthless villain, you know, shooting Shingen and Yukimura's men with the guns, not allowing them to come near him, killing them. Was going to kill Yukimura in SW2, but Keiji saved him. And he had a crazy army, you know, he had fucking, you know, Toshie on his team. He had somebody like Katsui Shiobata. He had, you know, Mitsuhide on his side before he betrayed him. He had Hideyoshi on his side, Ieyasu under him. Like, he was like a badass villain that had people working under him because you didn't want to fuck with him. And he was always just so badass. I loved his facial hair. I loved his voice actor. Always loved his designs. He was like the Demon King, basically. Black gloves. He had a cool, like, not lightning, but he had like this cool, like, dark purple thing on his sword that made like these cool sound effects when you used it. I've always enjoyed using him gameplay wise, his combo attacks, his musu, his charge attacks, and you know, his character designs have always been great. I enjoyed his story mode in Samurai Warriors 1. I enjoyed his story mode in Samurai Warriors 2. I liked him gameplay wise in Samurai Warriors 4 and 4-2 and Warriors Orochi 4. You know, and he was always just cool. He's just a cool villain that doesn't care about anything and is able to handle anything. He don't even care if an ally betrays him. It don't even affect him. That's how cold-hearted he is, and I love that shit, you know? Another thing is, like, I actually think, like, Nobunaga, and I also think it's cool how they had the Nobunaga and Cao thing in Warriors Orochi, where they had them, like, they compared them to each other, and they had to meet each other, which is really cool. I thought that made a lot of sense, because they are similar to each other. But out of the two, I actually prefer Nobunaga over Cao, because I always feel like Nobunaga was a little bit more villainous than Cao was. You know, I feel like he was just a tad more over the edge villainous, so they are pretty close to each other in terms of that cold-hearted approach. But that's my number 2 choice, Nobunaga Oda. Great character, love him a lot. Badass character, definitely one of my favorites from Samurai Warriors. Just a perfect example of a villain, and just a great character. Yeah, very intimidating. Oh, and I forgot to mention, one of the things I thought was badass about Nobunaga, especially in Warriors Orochi 1, because on one hand you got Wei, right? You got Cao Pi, and they gotta fuck, I can't form my words. What the hell? They gotta pretend to be cool with Daji and bring her down. And then the Wu story, they're kidnapped and they gotta work with Daji. And then the Shu story, they're on the run. Whereas Nobunaga, when Orochi shows up, he's like, it is what it is. I'm taking this motherfucker on. You ain't gonna kidnap me. You ain't gonna make me run away. And I thought that was just so badass about Nobunaga in Warriors Orochi 1. He was the only one in that game that didn't run from Orochi, that didn't hide or pretend to work for him. He fought him head on and was like, it is what it is, bring it. You know, he was just chilling on his chair when Orochi showed up, you know. And you know, he'd be a good candidate, you know, probably impress Orochi because he's a demon himself. So yeah, number 2 choice, Nobunaga Oda. So this is why it was hard, because I like these characters about equal, though I prefer this one a little bit more over Nobunaga. But my number 1 choice for my all-time favorite Samurai Warriors characters out of everybody is Shingen Takeda. Fierce as fire. Really love Shingen Takeda. Always been my favorite Samurai Warriors character in the series. Just absolutely love this character. Just a really cool strategist. My favorite leader in Samurai Warriors. My favorite strategist. I've always loved his character designs, the way his armor looked, the way his mask looked. I've always liked his voice actor. I liked his rival stuff going on with Kenshin. His campaign in Samurai Warriors 1 was great. He got to eventually go against Nobunaga, which was cool. And he was such a smart strategist. He was so intelligent. You know, like, nobody could best him strategy-wise. And he is one of those characters that does die early. He dies on the battle with Nobunaga, and when he has Ieyasu with him. But of course, in Samurai Warriors 1, you can actually make it to where Shingen lives. Because let's be real, if Shingen actually lived and, you know, didn't die, then he probably would have succeeded, or at least Yukimura and their whole clan would have been around longer. Because I think a huge reason they weren't able to last after Shingen dies, because that was a huge blow. I mean, that guy was the smartest strategist ever. So, you know, yeah, I love Shingen Takeda, you know, and I don't mind him being fat. I think it's kind of cool that he's fat, because he's kind of like this sumo wrestler strategist, and I like his fan. His fan is a lot of fun to use. He kind of swings it like Dion Wei in Dynasty Warriors 4, if you think about it, 5, or more so 3 and 4. But yeah, Shingen Takeda is a great character. I liked his story. I liked his rival stuff going on with Kenshin. I liked, you know, him being able to live in certain games like Part 1. He was fun to use in 1 and 2, and Words Orochi 1 and 2, he was fun to use. I liked his charge attacks, his Musu attacks. It was fun to use him in gameplay. And then in Words Orochi 4 and Samurai Warriors 4, his hyper attacks were great and fun to use. I thought some of the special attacks he had in Words Orochi 4 were great. Like, he literally has an attack where he charges back, cocks back, and punches an enemy officer, which is just funny, you know, because he's like this fat strategist dude, but he's kind of like a big sumo dude at the same time. And I just always liked Shingen Takeda, man. He's cool as a motherfucker. Definitely my favorite character. I would say my favorite voice of his would be... Actually, I'll get to that soon, because I'm going to go over something that I did in my top 10 Dynasty Warriors characters. But yeah, that's my number 1 choice, Shingen Takeda. So I go over, like, favorite character design, favorite voice actor. What I would say is, like, number 10, Kagakatsu, USA number 9, Takatora Todo. I'm just going to skip them because they've only been in 1 game, so they haven't had any different character designs or voice actors, but what they have is cool. But for number 8, Kotaro Fuma, my favorite design of Kotaro Fuma would have to be his Samurai Warriors 2 design, because that's where I was introduced to him, and that was his coolest design with his hair down and stuff. That's my favorite design from him. My favorite voice actor from him is like Words Orochi 1 and 2. He sounded the best in that. My favorite design, number 7 for Yoshihiro Shimazu, would be his character design from Samurai Warriors 4. I think he looked the coolest in that. He had like a piece of armor right here, and then his other arm was had no armor on it, so you could see his muscle and you could see his hair. That was his coolest design. His coolest voice actor was definitely in Words Orochi 1 and 2. And then for number 6, Toshie Maeda. My favorite character design from Toshie Maeda would have to be probably Samurai Warriors 4. I think he looks the coolest in Samurai Warriors 4. That's my favorite design from him, character design. And then favorite voice actor for Toshie Maeda would be his Words Orochi 1 and 2 voice, which is actually Liu Bei's voice from Dynasty Warriors 6, which I actually think fits Toshie Maeda better. I'm heading up in the world. That's what he says when you select him. Number 6, Yuji Hojo. Not really going to pick one for this because he's only been in 1 game, I believe. I haven't played 5 yet, but his design is cool. And then number 4, Tadagatsu Honda. My favorite design from Tadagatsu Honda would have to be his Samurai Warriors 1 XL design. That's his best design. Cool armor. I remember he had like a skull or some kind of like animal thing somewhere, and half of his arm was shown off so you could see his muscle. That was his coolest design, hands down. His best voice actor is his voice in Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. It's badass in those games. Number 3, Kenshin Usagi. My favorite character design for Kenshin would have to be, I want to say, I'm going to go with Samurai Warriors 2. I think his best character design is Samurai Warriors 2, Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. I would say that would be my favorite one. My favorite voice actor, though, for him is Samurai Warriors 1. I thought Kao Ren's voice fit him the best, so I didn't mind the guy in Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. And then for number 2, Nobunaga Oda, my favorite character design of his would have to be his design from Samurai Warriors 1. That's his coolest fucking design. I mean, he has this dope ass looking black armor, and he's got this red cape. I mean, that's his best character design, easily. His best voice actor, in my opinion, is his voice from Samurai Warriors 1, because he has Cao Cao's voice, and it fits him so well. I don't care that he had Cao Cao's voice. Who gives a shit? Cao Ren and Dion Wei have the same voice in Dynasty Warriors. And that's my favorite Nobunaga voice. And then number 1 for Shingen Takeda, my favorite character design for Shingen Takeda. He has a lot of cool designs. Which one would I pick for this one? I'm trying to think. I would probably go with his... I'm going to pause this video real quick and look up his designs, and then I'll answer this question. I'll be right back. Alright, so I made a decision. My favorite design for Shingen Takeda is going to be Samurai Warriors 4. That's his best design. I think he looks the coolest in that one. And my favorite voice for him would have to be the one for Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. You know, Fear says... The camera got cut off. But as I was saying, my favorite voice for Shingen Takeda is going to have to be his one from Warriors Orochi 1 and 2. You know, Fear says fire! You know, that's my favorite voice of his. Awesome. So, yeah, that's it for my top 10 Samurai Warriors characters, my overall top 10 favorite Samurai Warriors characters. You let me know what your top 10 Samurai Warriors characters list is in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're into gaming stuff and you like watching a channel that talks about gaming. And make sure to give the video a like if you like the video. And also, if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of the Warriors games, I also did a video called Top 10 Dynasty Warriors Characters. You can check that one out as well. But that's it for this video. Peace out.